Something as simple as joining a club can counteract a decline in social capital that's eroding American communities. It's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Wednesday, July 30th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with Republican Congressman Darren LaHood calling for more transparency from the Trump administration in the case of the late child molester and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker has more.
The Epstein case and stalled release of information from it have drawn bipartisan reaction against the Trump administration. LaHood, who represents a deep red district, says anybody involved with the case and the heinous and reprehensible acts should be held responsible.
And this was something that the candidate Trump talked about at the time, and many of the people around him. I think that needs to be fulfilled.
LaHood says just releasing grand jury transcripts, which must be approved by a judge, is not the right approach.
Criminal actions, flight logs, lists of people, those all ought to be exposed and brought forth to the public with full transparency.
House Speaker Mike Johnson let lawmakers go home a day early for the summer break, perhaps to avoid a vote on disclosure in the Epstein case. LaHood says that's not the end of the matter.
When we get back into session, I think there's going to be plenty of appetite from both sides of the aisle to get to full transparency.
LaHood qualifies his answer when asked how much of the terabytes of evidence in the Epstein case should be made public. He says victims and people who were subject to exploitation need to be protected. For The Leadoff, I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Here are some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. McLean County Board Chair Elizabeth Johnston says she's encouraged to hear the city of Bloomington reaffirm its commitment to mental health, but the county is resisting efforts by the city and town of Normal to suspend sharing tax revenue for the Mental Health and Public Safety Fund. Illinois officials are trying to get people ready for changes to SNAP food benefits caused by federal cuts. They say they're making the documentation process smoother and trying to reduce the error rate, or the number of ineligible people getting benefits. McLean County Health Department is offering back-to-school vaccine appointments and promoting some community clinics. They accept most private and public health insurance plans and can assist uninsured or underinsured families. And high school and college athletic trainers in McLean County got some emergency training yesterday as they prepare for the upcoming school year. Trainers met at ISU's training facility for a refresher on splinting, allergic reactions, choking, AED and CPR, and general first aid. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. Bloomington's Strong Towns chapter is hosting a screening of Join or Die this week at the Normal Theater. That's a 2023 documentary about how a decline in civic engagement is eroding communities. Chapter President Noah Tang stopped by WGLT's studios to talk with Lauren Warnicki. Strong Towns Blono has been largely focused on issues like housing and transportation alternatives in the Twin Cities, so Join or Die doesn't immediately fit with their mission, except it does.
We want this community to be a community of joiners, people who go do things, people go out and join clubs, people who think, oh, I can do this, or I can solve this problem here and not wait for other people to do things. And I think that's extremely important to kind of talk about that. The main thesis of this movie is over the past 80 years or so, civic life in the United States has really gone downhill, right? People stop joining organizations like the Kiwanis, like JCs, like the Rotary, in large numbers. And you see a decline in civic life, and you see a decline in civic trust. From a Strong Towns perspective, you want to activate local citizens to truly care deeply about communities. And how to do that is by getting in community, getting in groups, and taking action. And that does require getting off the couch.
We have Kiwanis, Lions, Elks, 6 Rotary clubs, Absolutely. Noah. I think they are not immune to the declining participation, but even more than that, it seems that they are experiencing an aging participation.
Absolutely.
So I think the question is, are these the right types of civic engagement, or is there something yet to be formed that really activates young communities, younger folks in the community in the same way that the Lions did 50 years ago?
I had a friend who is a bassist in an emo guitar band, and they joined the Freemasons at the age of, I think 24, something along the lines of that. So there are people joining these really old fraternal organizations that have long storied histories in our communities, but they're also organizations that are learning how to adapt to the modern times. So a good example would be the Pub Club Rotary group, which I think now is one of the largest in the community.
And especially knowing that you work with youth, right? Like, how would you diagnose Bloomington Normal in terms of its place on the join or die scale?
I do think that we are ahead of the curve compared to some other communities. I do think that we're doing a lot better. Now, does it necessarily mean that there isn't always room for improvement? I would love to see a lot more people involved in civic life, not just in a Facebook group.
Well, as a last question, Noah, I wanted to kind of capitalize on your access to Bloomington Normal's youth through your day job at the high school. What do you encounter in terms of, like, are the kids all right? Are they finding ways to not just be tapped into civic engagement insofar as it benefits our communities, but just in their ability to connect with other people and find those kind of third spaces that then facilitate civic engagement in their adult lives?
Yeah, that is a very, very difficult question to answer. Are these kids all right? Yes and no. Right, we have kids who are chronically depressed on their cell phones, but in the same room you have kids who are in 3 or 4 clubs who are a class president. So let's see what happens if the cell phone changes at Bloomington High School next school year, and really, I'll get back to you on that answer. TBD.
That's Noah Tang, president of Strong Towns Blono and a teacher at Bloomington High School, speaking with WGLT's Lauren Warnicki. Join or Die takes place at 7 p.m. Thursday at the Normal Theater. Tickets are $7. And if you wear swag representing a club or other civic affiliation, there's free popcorn in it for you. Before we let you go, the Joe Zachlin Band plays tonight, starting at 6 in Uptown Circle. Zachlin is a veteran Chicago blues sideman. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Lou Warner. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.